Well, no question about it. Lance Armstrong is one of the greatest athletes in history. He won the Tour de France 7 times in a row, but now he's got just hours to decide if he's going to continue to fight claims that he used performance-enhancing drugs to get those wins, or face sanctions that could strip him of all 7 titles. Well, Peter Flax is the editor-in-chief of Bicycling magazine. He joins us now via Skype to talk about what is at stake. Peter, as we know, Lance Armstrong has strongly denied these doping claims all throughout his career. He's passed more than 500 drug tests. But if he agrees with these sanctions, would this not be an admission of guilt?
Well, I think if he decides not to go forward with arbitration, he's going to be trying to finesse himself into moral high ground, claiming that it was a witch hunt and he's not willing to participate. But I think a lot of observers will take that as a tacit admission of wrongdoing and doping and all the other charges that he's facing right now.
Peter, the U.S. anti-doping agency claims that up to 10 former teammates are ready to testify against Lance Armstrong. They obviously were positive. Their doping results were positive during the time that Lance Armstrong was also riding, was also competing. Is this not just their word against his?
Well, it's certainly going to be their word against his, but some of the names that are testifying are familiar names, people that have come public before, and some of them are teammates that were his most closest who've never testified before. And if all of their evidence corroborates each other, then I think there would be circumstantial proof beyond most people's belief that in fact he did dope and use other performance-enhancing drugs.
Peter, there was a 2-year federal investigation into the accusations that Lance Armstrong faces today. That investigation was closed at the beginning of this year. Lance Armstrong says that this current investigation is a witch hunt. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, I think that's in the story that we have next month, we're talking about we call it injustice for all, that it is a witch hunt and it is unfair the way USADA is coming after Lance. And it's also true that most of the things they're charging he's guilty of. And so that's the predicament everyone's looking at. The pursuit is unfair. Different deals have been given to other athletes that have done the same thing, but he is, in my mind, unquestionably guilty. And so no one's going to walk away from this satisfied.
Yeah, I mean, this would just be a permanent stain on his legacy if he was found guilty. I mean, in my personal opinion, Peter, I personally think that Lance Armstrong is so much bigger than cycling. You know, he is this source of hope and inspiration for all those people battling cancer. He obviously overcame testicular cancer. I mean, what would be the ramifications of this if he is found guilty of doping?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll take a long time for us to figure out what the legacy will be. Like you, he's an inspiration, and he's the greatest bike racer I ever saw, and that won't change. But I think, if he did dope, the public needs to know that too, and then decide for themselves what his legacy will be. Other great champions who've been caught cheating were punished, and I don't have a personal opinion about whether USADA should have gone forward, but I just let the whole thing go. But I also think people need to know he's guilty.
There is no doubt about it, Peter, that he has done an amazing thing for cycling, for sport in general, and then for cancer with his foundation worldwide. Peter Flax, a fascinating insight into the world of cycling. You are the editor-in-chief of Bicycling magazine. We appreciate your time, and we know that we'll be covering this story very closely. As we said, Lance Armstrong has several more hours as to whether or not he will decide to either accept these sanctions or continue to challenge the doping allegations. Well, it should come as